we are going to start nerve and muscle physiology. So in our muscle physiology, so first when we have a stimulus and excitability of nerve. So this is the basic for starting our lesson. So first let us see what is excitability. So excitability is nothing but a property of a living cell to respond to the change in the environment. So the change may be like it is nothing but the stimulus. So the stimulus which causes this excitability. So what is the stimulus? We'll understand its definition. So stimulus is nothing but a change in the environment that evokes a response from the cell. So actually this stimulus not only is environmental, you can see here it may be physical, it may be chemical and it also may be electrical, and in our nerves mainly it is electrical stimulus, and by means of chemical stimulus it passes to the other nerve. So this also we know already seen in the last lessons. So we have some cells like glandular cells, macrophages, ciliated cells. So in them, even a local change in the membrane potential also can activate many cellular functions, but exclusively in our nervous cells and muscle cells, which are capable of mainly generating the rapidly changing electrochemical impulses at the membrane. So this nerve and muscle cells are mainly called as excitable cells. So that's what now we are studying its properties of excitability. So as we said, the stimulus may be physical, chemical, electrical. In an electrical stimuli, it's actually easily, precisely controlled in the terms of strength and also duration. So in our nerves, mainly we have electrical stimulus, development of action potential. It's mainly electrical. And by chemical, here both electrical and chemical are taking place. Electrical one usually takes place, inside a nerve, and from one nerve to other nerve it passes by means of chemical means. So this all this excitability is mainly based upon our single ion, that is our sodium. So sodium is moving into the cell and it starts the membrane potential change, as we already seen our action potential, resting membrane potential. So by now you can have clear idea, because of sodium entering into the cell only the action potential membrane changes. So due to this the mechanical disturbance of the membrane takes place. The mechanical disturbance in a membrane mainly excites the sensory nerve endings in the skin, and there are also chemical effects on the membrane, like to transmit the signals between successive muscle cells, example in heart and intestine, and also there is or passage of electricity through the membrane. So now let us see the excitation of a nerve fiber, which is mainly by negative charge metal electrode. So in laboratories, we will not perform now, as in laboratories we can't perform the live experiment, so we do it by electrodes. So we take negatively charged electrode to activate a nerve fiber, and in laboratory we apply mainly electricity to the nerve or muscle surface by two small electrodes. So we use mainly negative charge or positively charged electrode. First, excitable membrane is stimulated at negative electrode because of the opening of the voltage gated sodium channels. We know mainly sodium channels are of three types. You can say voltage gated, ligand gated, and also normal leaky sodium channels. So all these are not mainly stimulating our cell. Mainly our voltage gated channels. Whenever they're open and whenever the sodium influx takes place, then only the cell get excited. So by decrease of normal resting electrical voltage across the membrane, that is negative electrode current decreases the voltage on outside of the membrane to the negative value nearer to the voltage of negative potential inside the fiber. And this allows the sodium channels to open, and which results in production of action potential. So this is how action potential is formed in the laboratory by applying an electricity to a nerve or muscle surface. Mainly here we use excitation of nerve fibers mainly by a negative charge metal electrode. How you can understand here? By decrease of normal resting electrical voltage across the membrane. That is negative electrode current, the current which we are giving now, it decreases the voltage on outside of the membrane to negative value. Actually, outside of the membrane is positively charged, but now it becomes negatively charged. That negative charge on the outside of the membrane is near to the voltage of negative potential inside the fiber, that is like potassium. And now what happens is this allows the sodium channel to open now, because as outside there is more negativity. Now sodium, its potential changes, concentration gradient changes, so now sodium starts moving from outside to inside of the cell. So like this the action potential is formed. So inversely, if we give the positive electrode current to our nerve or muscle, then what happens? There is increase in positive charge outside, and also the voltage difference is also increased. So this causes the state of hyperpolarization. So now we can understand, if outside it is more positive means inside the cell now undergoes like it inside the cell becomes more negative than resting membrane potential, and it may go more negative charges, like it may get hyperpolarized, so which mainly decrease the excitability of fiber rather than causing the action potential. So by these conditions, we can say that whenever we in a laboratory we do experiment, by giving negative charge only we can produce action potentials. By positive charge, we it will cross the hyperpolarization, which is a negative effect on action potential, because the cell becomes more hyperpolarized, more negative, and instead of forming action potential, the excitability of the cell only is completely decreased in this case. So a weak stimulus at a point A. So here you can see, now we'll discuss about this graph you can see here. Uh, First, actually, at point A, you can see there is a weak stimulus which causes a change of a membrane potential from minus 90 to about, resting membrane potential is minus 90. So, by if you give a weak stimulus to any cell, from minus 90 to it comes to about minus 85, like that. You can see about, we are talking about A now. It comes about minus 85, but there is no sufficient stimulus for production of action potential in this case. And at B, you can see at B the stimulus is greater, but the intensity is not enough. When both the stimulus and intensity are enough, then it can reach the threshold and the action potential is formed. So at the B case, there is stimulus is high, but the intensity is not proper. So it will also not produce action potential, but it disturbs the potential for 1 millisecond. And this A and B, now the cases we have discussed, this A and B are local potential changes. They are not action potential. This is very important. So you can see both this A and B are local potential changes, which are acute local potentials, and if they fail to produce action potential, then they are called as acute subthreshold potentials. Of course, they'll fail to produce action potential in this case because only they are, the stimulus is lying only for about 1 millisecond. This is very short time. So these are called as local potential changes, and these are also called as acute local potentials. And they fail to produce action potential, then they are called as acute subthreshold potential. So, and next coming to at point C. So at point C, you can see the stimulus is stronger, and now it reaches the threshold, right? And as it reaches the threshold, you can understand this occurs after the short latent period. So this period from the starting of stimulus between the production of the action potential, this period in between, it is called as our latent period. Latent period means the period which is between the stimulus starting, beginning of the stimulus, and production of action potential. So between this we have a latent period. And next at point D. Now we'll move on to point D. So you can see at point D the stimulus is very high, stronger, and the acute local potential also stronger, and the action potential occurs after less of the latent period. So here the latent period is very low because the stimulus is very stronger, so the latent period also decreases and the action potential rises like this. So this is how the action potentials is formed. So now the there are also some factors called as membrane stabilizing factors. These membrane stabilizing factors mainly decrease the excitability of the cell. So till now we have discussed how to increase the excitability of cell by sodium influx, and by reaching the threshold then we can easily produce. So here I also drawn a flow chart like a kind of thing, so you can easily understand. So here you can see the stimulus should reach the threshold, then only action potential form. Action potential follows the wave of depolarization and repolarization. So this thing and also here I wrote sodium influx, sodium channels open, then depolarization occurs, and potassium efflux takes place, repolarization occurs. So this is how our nerve cell or muscle cell is innervated. So here we are, till now we discussed how to increase excitability. Now we'll see which factors decrease excitability. Those are called as membrane stabilizing factors. So examples here you have, whenever there is high extracellular fluid of calcium ion concentration, then they decrease the membrane permeability to sodium. And also, when positive charge is outside more, just now we are discussing laboratory also, if you give positive charge current to a cell, when positive charge increases outside more, then inside the cell undergoes hyperpolarization. So the same takes place here. When extracellular fluid is having more amount of calcium outside, then decrease membrane permeability of to sodium and also decrease excitability. So we can say now the calcium ions are also called as stabilizing factors. So this is very important point. And now let us see how the local anesthesia work in response to this mechanism also takes place in. Now let us understand. For example, we have local anesthesia like procaine, tetracaine. So they mainly directly act on the activation gates of a sodium channel, and it is now more difficult to open these gates. As you know, this is a local anesthetic. They act on these gates and they inhibit it. So they decrease the excitability. When the excitability is so low, so our ratio of action potential to excitability threshold is also reduced below 1.0. This 1.0 is now called as safety factor, and the nerve impulses now fail to pass along the anesthetized nerve. So this is how anesthesia works. So whenever we give anesthesia, they mainly act upon directly on our sodium channels and they block them. So you know, whenever sodium influx doesn't take place, action potential does not form. So this is how the action potential is inhibited, and the ratio, this is important, the ratio of action potential to excitability threshold is reduced below 1.0, and this 1.0 is called a safety factor. So this is how our action potential mechanism is seen in a local anesthetic like procaine and tetracaine. These examples are important. So this is all about our lesson 8, that is stimulus and excitability of nerve.